Instead of making high-profile, big-budget event chick flicks like Legally Blonde or Clueless, Hollywood has spent the past decade taking properties with a predominantly male built-in audience like Marvel and Star Wars and given those female-centric makeovers. But as it turns out, female audiences never wanted girl bosses like Rey or Captain Marvel. They wanted Barbie all along. Few saw it coming, but lo and behold, Barbie is now $1 billion movie, and that will influence Hollywood going forward, as all the other studios will want some of that Barbie cash for themselves. Which means they will have to interpret what, IP aside, was the secret behind Barbie's success, and how to replicate it in other non-Barbie movies. So, will we get colorful movies that are fun for everyone, or several more years of anti-male and anti-family messaging? As we will see, that will depend entirely on their chosen interpretation, for in this editorial, I will begin with how Hollywood likes clear, unambiguous messages, and how Barbie doesn't provide that. Then we'll see that despite the movie's defenders claiming it is actually pro-men and women alike, there is now evidence suggesting that Barbie really is what I said it was, namely a breakup movie. So, what lessons will Hollywood take away from Barbie in their future greenlighting decisions? The saying goes that in Hollywood no one knows anything. Behind that saying is a quote from William Goldman, which reads, "Nobody knows anything." Not one person in the entire motion picture field knows for a certainty what's going to work. Every time out it's a guess, and if you're lucky, an educated one. Never has this been more true than in the past few decades of exponentially rising production costs, and especially after Hollywood stupidly killed off the golden goose secondary market that was physical media, in favor of a panicked rush to streaming where hardly anyone earns anything. Now more than ever, Hollywood will be prone towards replicating the biggest hits, of which Barbie most certainly is one, hoping to recapture that lightning in a bottle. The problem, though, comes in interpreting why, branding aside, the movie was such a big hit. In the case of Barbie, even avid film enthusiasts can't agree on how to interpret that movie, so how can Hollywood? As pointed out in my review/analysis of the movie, the filmmakers took a cue from Stanley Kubrick and baked layer upon layer of subtext and messaging into the movie, where the apparent messaging in one layer may be recontextualized in another layer. However, I submit there were no Kubrick-level master visual communicators working on this. Instead, there were ideologues who tried to make a movie that is smarter than they were able to pull off. And so, the resulting movie is one which justifiably can be interpreted many different ways, even in ways the filmmakers may not have intended. Case in point, some argue this really is a heartwarming movie with a positive message for everyone, while others argue the movie is misandric with an anti-family message that is negative for women and men alike and for society at large. So how can the movie be so successful? Well, with the benefit of hindsight, that is easy to see. The predominantly female audience driving this movie's success either don't see, ignore, or as we're about to see, don't mind the messaging. Because the priority here is the all Barbie, all pink, all female appealing veneer, and it's been a very, very long time since there was a movie like that. Instead of making high-profile, big-budget event chick flicks like Legally Blonde or Clueless, Hollywood has spent the past decade taking properties with a predominantly male built-in audience like Marvel and Star Wars and given those female-centric makeovers. This of course led to both the male and female fan bases of those properties fleeing, while no new female audience came in to replace them, because, as it turns out, female audiences never wanted girl bosses like Rey or Captain Marvel. They wanted Barbie all along. I think that's the secret behind the movie's success. Female audiences were starved for an all-out girly event blockbuster, and Barbie is just that. But as it turned out, the observation I made in my review/analysis that Barbie is an anti-male, anti-family breakup movie was not without merit. Almost a week after I asserted it was, Metro asked the question, is Barbie actually a breakup movie? Later, the Huffington Post reported that the Barbie movie is ending relationships left and right, and later still, Looper celebrated that breakups were skyrocketing because the toxic men being dumped weren't good enough allies. A point of view which, of course, was shared by BuzzFeed, who were also ecstatic about boyfriends who weren't sufficiently subservient Kens being dumped. So, why do these women dump their boyfriends over Barbie, a movie that many maintain is this positive thing which only wants what's best for women and men alike, and which some even claim has the message that there really is no such thing as patriarchy at all, as Ruth Handler in the end of the movie even says the term doesn't mean anything. Well, all of that went straight over these ladies' heads, because the recurring theme in these articles is that these women absolutely believe in the patriarchy as it was presented in the movie, and they want their boyfriends to validate this belief and then do better. As pointed out in the Looper article, women are suggesting that the Barbie movie can serve as a test of character and compatibility for current and future partners. As some users noted on TikTok, there were a lot of men who found the film to be moving and effective, noting that they displayed empathy and understanding for the women in their lives after viewing it. Sounds to me like those TikTok users might have gotten duped, but that aside. If these boyfriends aren't sufficiently empathic, or worse yet, if they should pick up on some other anti-male messaging that goes beyond the anti-patriarchy message, then that apparently is male fragility and therefore toxic, and such relationships are best broken up. One of the messages I got from the movie is that the filmmakers want you single, so I have no doubt that they are ecstatic that the movie not only is a smash hit beyond what anyone expected at the box office, but that it is having this real-world impact. But what will the rest of Hollywood take away from this? Last year's success of Top Gun Maverick, coupled with this year's success of The Sound of Freedom and the failure of every single message-driven Disney movie of the past few years, sent signals it is very difficult for Hollywood to ignore. Add the success of Barbie to that, and the lesson Hollywood should take away from all of this is that forcing properties where the majority audience is male into a female mold was a mistake. And that going forward, properties with inherent appeal to male audiences and properties with inherent appeal to female audiences should both be made and allowed to be what they are, instead of being forced into becoming something they are not. That is what should happen. Alas, there is every reason to fear that many will take away the lesson that the only thing they did wrong in the last few years was not going far enough. As in, it wasn't enough that Rey was a Mary Sue. No, she needed to be dressed in pink, and the movie had to be about the horrors of patriarchy, like every movie has to be from here on out. I could see some studios out there take that lesson away from this, sending us right back to the era of Paul Feig's Ghostbusters. I hope that doesn't happen, but that outcome is on the table. But what about you? For better or worse, how do you think Barbie will influence Hollywood going forward, and were you surprised to find it really is a breakup movie? Let me know in the comments.